I'm Dan.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Bourbon Sauce. Welcome back to another Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. This week we've brought in Matt.
I'm Matt Bargo.
From Bargo 459. So, Matt, what have you brought for us to drink today?
We brought one of our bourbons that it's been finished in 3 barrels. It started as a high corn, no rye, 6-year-old bourbon. What we have, guys, is a bourbon that we make, a bourbon that we're very proud of. We've developed a system where we use 4 processing rooms. In those processing rooms, we control the environment, we control the movement of the bourbon. We go ahead and make it think it's been through many seasons in a very short time.
Okay.
We have the bourbon enter and exit the wood. And as everybody knows, that's where most or 80% of your flavor comes from.
Terrific. And so the one that we have here in front of us today is...
Excuse me?
This one is not Barrel 91.
Yeah, Barrel 91.
And what's special about Barrel 91?
Well, 91 was one that we picked that has a little bit more heat up front. All our bourbons are very, very similar. The bourbons start from the same mash bill and relatively the same age. We take a bourbon that has its own characteristics because everybody knows every barrel is different. So we take a bourbon that we think perhaps needs to have more toast or needs to have more char. This one we took down the path of being sweeter, having more complexity. And then when we put it in a second barrel and kept it, we then took it out after taste monitoring. We put it in a third barrel or a sherry barrel to finish. We taste monitored it. And when we get just the right amount of sherry to not overcome the bourbon, but to complement the bourbon flavor, then we retracted it and put it in a bottle.
Okay. Well, let's get into this one. You want to do the honor of...
I had one quick question.
Yeah.
So all of yours, even though it's single barrel, all of these are bottled at 92 proof, right?
Yes.
What brought you to that?
Well, 92 proof is right at the bottom line where you can still keep the supersaturates in the liquor without chill filtering. So we don't want to chill filter because chill filter removes flavor. With that being said, most of the time we don't have anything drop, but sometimes we'll cloud a little bit at the bottom, and usually a really good bourbon or single barrel, you'll see that because it's carrying as much flavor as it can, and then if it can't, then it drops out a little bit.
Okay. So you want to do the honors here and uncork that?
For sure. All right. Probably needs to breathe just a little bit.
Dan says, don't give me a weak pour.
Is that more pour? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I'm known for having a heavy hand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a drinker's favorite at a bar, but a bar owner's worst nightmare because I would pour too much. But
Well, if you look and you swirl it in your glass, it has a really, really nice aroma, and it has really good legs.
I do like the legs on this.
And the consistency, where it's been in 3 barrels, it's got way more solutes than any bourbon that you've ever had. And because of that, you got to take it in really small drinks. You got to take that initial drink, as everybody knows, to clear your palate.
right.
But then this bourbon will build, and you'll pick up more and more flavors, as you already know.
Well, cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
We'll get into this real quick here.
I definitely get a lot of sweet note on the nose.
Get that smoky note on the taste there. Mouth feels really good. Goes down.
It's a good chewing bourbon.
Yeah, it goes down real easy for sure.
I like the linger, the flavor that stays with your mouth, and the moistness that you draw.
What's the long note that you get out of this the most?
It's different. This bourbon's so complex when you drink it that you get different notes at different places. You get a really nice front. You get one down your tongue, and you get one that finishes. And it's just what part do you want to pick it at?
Okay.
You know, let's go back and see what you pick in the front end.
So revisit
I definitely get some smokiness, almost like a little bit of roasted or smoky nuts of some kind, not peanuts. but like a walnut or pecan. It's faint, but it's there for
I
me.
get a pecan
Yeah.
or a pecan or whatever you want to call
Pecan.
it, depending on what part of the country you grow up in.
It's got that subtle sweetness
Yeah.
that stays on your tongue. You got a really nice front up front, but that sweetness can be almost a vanilla, it's light. It didn't finish as good, but the aftertaste. What are you picking in that aftertaste? That's what
I
my
get
favorite.
like a fig, and I definitely get like a nutty
it's
something
just-
or other, but that smoky aroma that comes through, and it just kind of sits with you for a while.
in the end, it just
Kind of reminds me of like used to grandparents have like roasted nuts on by the fire.
Mm.
And it lets out that smoky, sweet aroma from those
that oak.
cans and chestnuts.
that oak, a little bit,
I get a little bit of oakiness.
just a tad, but it's a smoky oak. It's not just a crisp oak. It's
I got to remember to talk into the mic, not the glass.
Yeah, or don't sniff your mic, sniff the glass.
Right.
Because that sometimes happens.
Yes,
you know?
it does.
Get a little mixed up.
been it-
Discombobulated.
Yeah. This is fantastic. And then what's the aging that you normally do for this one?
Well, we usually start with at least. We start with at least a Kentucky straight bourbon, so it has to be at least 2. We have nothing it's 2, but we usually start at 3 or longer.
Okay.
This bourbon right here is probably a 6-year-old,
Oh, okay.
so it's one of the older bourbons. This is on the mash bill on this one. It's almost entirely corn with a little bit of, I guess, 80 or no 90, 92% corn.
Oh, wow. That's real high corn then. Okay.
And so, in this particular run, I bought a distiller out, and he was going into another business. He was going to become a plant manager. So, this is really, really high corn.
It's interesting.
I like the nice hug. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of pepperiness that just kind of lingers.
Yeah, you get a little bit
bit
in the back here.
Almost
little
like
of
a
that
little
spice
bit
or
of
a little rice
cooking
spice.
baking spice.
Like a nutmeg almost. Or a cinnamon mixed
I mean,
with
that
something.
could possibly be part of where I'm picking up on that nuttiness too.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like a Jack Daniels where you get
Do you get a butter right at the very?
I don't really
end?
get any butter on that for me.
almost like a buttercream or butter.
Yeah, just right at the very end,
Faint.
right on the back of your tongue. Taste for it and see if you pick it. Right, you get it's not real prominent. Right toward the very end of your drink. You pick it. It's after you get that rush. It hits the top of your mouth and then comes down, just before it leaves. Just as it leaves your mouth, and you start to just at the tail end.
It's kind of got a creamy consistency to it.
Well, I get that viscosity in this, but I don't really get a buttery finish on that for me.
It's kind of a
But I get like a cinnamon's like a spearmint almost.
yeah. I can.
I always find it interesting to just hear the different flavor notes and then actually try and chase down what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's the difficult part for me too is figuring out which word to associate that flavor.
Because it's loud in the front, subtle down your tongue, and then nice feel at the back.
Yeah, it's a good sipping bourbon though.
This is a bourbon that a lot of people can sit around and sip, even if you haven't been sipping bourbon very long. It's got enough complexity for those that drink bourbon a lot to get something good out of it, but it also is not so high proof that it sets somebody who hasn't been drinking bourbon in a while on fire.
Just a comfort heat.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of warmth.
Oh, it's that good Kentucky hug.
And you've been doing this for 7 years.
We started,
Roughly.
yeah, we started on research and development, literally.
Yeah.
Before we ever made the first distilled product, we studied everything that had ever been distilled, and we compared all the different principles and thoughts, and we picked and chose from each one of those, not just strictly from making bourbon, but from making any distilled product.
Okay. And what do you say the biggest influence on this would have been for you? Were you trying to get a smoky taste out of this, or what were you looking for when you went for this one?
I wanted a complex flavor that anybody could taste.
Okay.
That you didn't have to be a bourbon enthusiast, but that anybody could enjoy not so much the complexity, but just the pure joy of drinking it.
Okay.
Just the good front and the good finish, and something you want to enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I think you accomplished that mission for sure.
Each barrel you come at with a little different for each barrel.
Each barrel has its own characteristics in the beginning. And even though we can treat the barrels almost identically, the barrel will have some of its own nature. And everybody who knows bourbon knows that. And the reason that the guys blend 400 barrels at one time is to make that consistency. We wanted to go ahead and bring out the identity of an individual barrel so that a person would have the actual experience to taste a bourbon, not a blended bourbon, but a bourbon with all the traits that it has. And rather than wait a long time, you know, in that first year you get 80% of what a barrel has, rather than wait 10 or 15 years to get the other 20%, we said, hey, let's taste this bourbon, match it with a barrel where we can finish it in months instead of years. And with doing that, it lets us give you a really rounded, well-rounded bourbon. And we complement the flavor in that third barrel. It just gives it a good harmony that you can't get any other way.
I think that's what's unique about your operation too, is that you do that triple cask almost finishing.
Yes.
And not a lot of people do a triple cask finish.
Nobody, I mean, there's a lot of people do two.
Right.
And granted, and you get a lot of complexity out of it too, as we both know. But the sherry or port finish gives it something you can't get from a normal bourbon. But you got to be really subtle because you don't want to overtake the bourbon. You just want to complement it.
I think you accomplished that really well in this, so congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
So we want to get into the numbers here. We
Bring the whiteboards.
We don't need the whiteboards. I can always do superficial numbers up here and movie magic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know, we
can crank out the numbers. So
we normally do on a scale of 1 to 10, and we do it on 5 different metrics. We have a smell, a taste, drinkability, price, and then share or not.
Thank you.
And so those are the 5 things that we kind of base our findings on when we do these wet your whistles, just to kind of give you a little bit of background on that. But obviously you're going to be really biased because it's your own juice, but we're still going to include your metrics in on that.
I'm going to sway it a little bit.
So on a smell factor on a bourbon, what would you say out of a 1 to 10?
This
specifically.
1.
I'd say a 9 or better.
Okay, that's a bold statement.
Bold statement, Cotton.
See how it works out for him, huh?
It's not overwhelming.
It's not. I like that's not astringent. You know,
It's kind of, it doesn't burn. It's just there. It's just nice.
it's got a nice smoky nose to it. The sherry kind of shows up a little bit on that nose.
Just hint it, just a hint.
But as far as complexity goes, for me, I'm at about an 8, 7.5, 8.
I'm coming in right about a 7.5.
I'm good.
Okay.
You knew I'd be biased.
Yeah, 100%. We knew that. Well, we got the taste coming up here, so. Very corn forward, which is to be expected.
It has a lot as far as on a complexity level from where I'm sitting. It has a lot of stuff that I find myself hunting and trying to, now what is it I'm tasting? What is this I'm tasting? You get the smokiness, you get some corn, you get the little bit of oak. The oak's faint. It
Super
doesn't
faint for me.
overpower it.
Yeah.
I get some of that pecan,
Nuts.
a little bit of almost like buttercream or a butterscotch, but it's faint. It's faint, but it's
just
there.
right at the end.
It's there.
I get like a cornbread taste, which is strange, but
I would say taste for me, I'm going to be about a 7.5.
okay.
7.5.
That sounds respectable.
Where are you going to be?
I made it. and I kind of guided it where I wanted to be. Is it perfect? No. Does it have a lot of what I wanted? Yeah. I'd put it about an 8. Because it gives you almost everything.
Yeah. I like the fact that it's got dimension to it, You go out and you buy some of these bourbons and you're paying $80 or more, and there's not a lot of dimension to it.
Thank you.
And so for this, what you're getting, you got a lot of complexity in the nose, a lot of complexity in the taste. So for me, I'm at an 8.
About an 8.
So
All right. So we're all sitting
sitting
pretty
at it.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got a great product here. So
Well, thank you.
as far as drinkability, I'm obviously going to say,
Yes.
it's a drinkability is going to be high for me, but
I mean, drinkability, this is something I mean, this could be an everyday drinker. I mean, it definitely could be.
for me, I'm going to say a 9.
I'm
Just
gonna-
right out the gate. Drinkability, it's a 9. It's something that you could pass around a table and everyone's going to say.
It's easily going to be right there, same about a 9, because
Yeah.
I can pop the cork and just pour it whenever I feel like it. It's not a bourbon for me that is taste seasonal.
No. Even though it is that smoky where you think like, okay, fall time, you got the Paco going in the sheds or the barns or whatever. I usually equate that to a fall time type of drink. But this is one where I would probably pull it out any time of the season and say, you know what, I feel like having something that pairs well with a steak, or pairs well with a brisket, or pairs well with whatever I'm making.
Oh, I think this would pair very well with a nice juicy
It's a good steak.
medium rare steak.
You want some hot dogs?
No,
Charred wieners?
no. We talking medium rare steak.
I think I achieved what I was wanting right here.
I think you did a really well
think we
job.
achieved
Really
that.
great job on
So
this.
what would you rate it on drinkability?
Oh, 9. But the reason I think it, when I've seen other people taste it, their expressions have been right with us. They're, wherever tasting I've gone, everybody's gone, wow. And
That shock factor.
Yes, and I love that.
Yeah.
That's very, very rewarding. And you guys liking it? It's great because I like it because I blended it.
Well, you
for
should
how I
like it.
taste
I mean, you should. You should.
If you don't like it, then we got a problem.
Right.
I blended it for what I wanted, and evidently it's okay with everybody else.
Yeah.
I've been-
That's got to be the most rewarding feeling for you for sure.
Oh,
God,
God,
that
yes.
labor of love, if they, you know what I mean?
It is. It's so rewarding.
So share?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You probably wouldn't share this, would you?
Only with us here at
Only
the
with
table.
us. Only with us.
I take most pride in that.
Yeah.
Most pride.
And then price point.
Well, what does this normally market out in? Like, let's say we're at Ernie's, right?
Yep. What's this
And
going to run you?
We picked this up at Ernie's, which if you
79.
guys know about Ernie's, you should be going to Ernie's and get all your beverage.
Hey,
from
Ernie's
there,
is
but-
great.
Ernie's Corbin, Kentucky, absolutely.
Hey, Ernie's holds all my products.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for a 91 or 82, he can get it for you. If you're he's very competitive. He's like $79, and I've seen it as high as $100, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly 80, 85, 90, but he's at 78, 79.
Okay.
Okay. So about $80.
Oh yeah,
$80
$80
for
will
this.
buy it. It tastes expensive, guys. It is. It's been in 3 barrels.
Knowing the process that you take in order to get it to where it's at, that's the kicker for this, right? Because some places they'll say it's a $80 bourbon and it only been thrown in 1 barrel. Mm-hmm. So,
And it'd be like a 3 or 4 year.
yeah, I mean we've had some recently that we had that were 100 plus, and they weren't really worth a hill of beans.
Nope.
For me, I'm at like a 6 for price.
I'm sitting about a 6.65
Yeah. So it's middle road for me.
on price.
It's not so expensive that the average person couldn't afford it,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's well within the price range of somebody who's used to buying a good bourbon.
Right.
But it's a craft distillery. You know what I mean? So there's a difference when it's versus something that's mass produced. And then
Quality, not quantity.
right. So you got like the Buffalo Trace that mass produced, and they're bringing it in at like $28, and theirs is so one dimensional with their flavors, and it's to be expected what you get with that. It's just I don't want to call it bland, but it is kind of bland for what Buffalo Trace is putting out. And then you drink this, and it has different complexities because it is finished in a sherry cask, and then It's just got more going on for it, but the price is still, it's right in the middle. It's not too expensive, and it's not cheap or thrifty or whatever people call the lower end budget friendly.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. We understand the concept behind it. We understand the process behind it. We understand the need for the cost.
Right.
But at the same time, would I like it to be more inexpensive so I can buy it all the time? Absolutely, but who wouldn't?
Right, yeah.
Right? So
yeah, and I think the market's going to dictate going forward. This is probably going to be a $200 bottle at some point
wouldn't surprise me.
because of the fact that it's so unique and so rare.
Just getting people to taste it. So
That's
our
the
biggest
thing is getting
claim.
people to taste it, and as soon as they taste it, they're like, "Oh, well, now we have a conversation to have here."
Well, I'm cheap, so once it crosses that $100 mark, I'm not buying it no more.
Well,
Yeah, Ryan's he's budget friendly bourbon.
I'm the budget friendly guy.
Well, hopefully everybody deserves a chance to drink a good bourbon. And when we do tastings, I have people who I know can't afford that bourbon, but I go out of my way to get them to taste it because I think everybody needs to have a good bourbon at least once.
Absolutely.
Is that like your mantra for Bargo 459?
Yeah, it's my goal to make it price friendly enough that they can enjoy something really good at least once.
I love that. That's a great
also
slogan.
See this fits well within parameters. Like, even if you are one of them people that has to shop budget friendly all the time,
Yeah.
like this fits well enough in your Christmas holiday budget. You can snag one of these once or twice a year.
And a lot of people buy them for gifts. A lot of people come in and they'll buy them for their dad or they'll buy them for somebody in their family or their boss because, it is unique.
It is very unique. It's a one of a kind for sure. If people are looking for something, it is a one of a kind. You got to go hunt this Bargo 459. The 91 barrel is fantastic. If you haven't had the other barrels,
I will say the Barrel 82 was my favorite. The smokiness with the pecan and that little bit of, I don't know if it's buttercream or butterscotch or Werther's Original on the back end, whatever that little hint of something. Like this is, I'd say this is right up there with 82 for me.
yeah, I like everything that you guys got going on over there.
Thank you.
If they haven't tried your vodka, just the straight vodka that you produce, it's
Phenomenal.
that's fantastic too.
And I don't like vodka at all.
So if you guys are out there hunting for a very delicious vodka, Bargo 459 also produces a very good vodka, and you've got some great things coming out to be determined for the vodka line.
Should be out before the end of the year.
Which, if you guys are looking, man, that's going to be it's not viewer friendly to say what I want to say, but it's fantastic.
I don't like vodka at all. I mean, absolutely don't like
Generally,
vodka.
I don't,
I despise vodka. I don't want to smell it. No.
I have a bad experience with Absolute, so.
And that vodka,
vodka, making a good bourbon and learning all the things that you needed to do lend itself to making a great vodka. Because understanding the distillery, what happens when it does, it works out well for vodka.
Yeah. I can't wait till that's out on the market. People are going to be blown away.
Thank you.
That's going to be a game changer. You heard it here first. Game changer. So I think we averaged about 8 if you overall that.
I'd say so. Probably right around
Which is fantastic, for a craft distillery, a smaller distillery that hasn't, emerged into the broader spectrum of markets out there. You got a fantastic product here. And you should be absolutely proud of what you're doing over there.
Thank you. Very rewarding.
We look forward to seeing what else you have to produce in the future.
Look forward to having you back.
Oh, for sure. That's going to be great too. And
we got to delve deeper into the whole line.
Yeah, so
of
if you guys are
barrels.
curious, stay tuned because we will do a full-on interview with Mr. Bargo here and give you guys the ins and outs of the business and everything that he's got going on and coming up. So, hell yeah, you want to pour us a little more?
Oh, yeah.
So we
we got to do our closeout toast.
we'll get a little extra here.
All right. It just grows on you, doesn't it?
It does. It's fantastic.
he just lingers. That's what
Miss
I like.
Bargo must be real proud too.
I think she is.
Labor of love, you know. She's waiting.
I spent all.
I
Her
think
money.
she looks at it as
It's an investment.
it's one of them things that
It's a retirement investment.
after retirement so long, it's like you want to kick him out of the house, go find something to do. I don't think she realized this is where it was going to come to.
Right.
Gentlemen,
Well, cheers.
happy holiday.
Happy holidays. If, for those of you out there that are curious, you have a website that they can find you on.
Bargo459.com.
There you go. Go check them out on bargo459.com. And if you're not drinking bourbon, you probably should be. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.